Clearly a very good year in 2010. What drove sales? I mean, you're talking about overaged equipment, of course, imports also being a very big issue in Kenya and, of course, in the East African region as well. What changed in 2010?
Well, in 2010, the increase that you've seen in our business that we reported last week, mainly a result of a project that started to take shape this year where we're transitioning PSV or public service buses from the mass transit system in Kenya from these very small 14-passenger used vehicles to the larger 2933 and larger passenger vehicles that we produce here at our assembly plant here in Nairobi.
So you're clearly offering a new product to the market, and also you've got government's assistance. Looking into 2011, what kind of trends are you expecting to continue? I mean, we're talking about an all-time high for the manufacturer. Do you expect to beat that going forward?
Well, yes. In fact, unfortunately for my competitors, it wasn't such a great year for everybody. Yeah. The market actually fell down a bit in 2010. We expect the market will pick up a little bit in 2011, but General Motors East Africa, under the Isuzu brand, we expect to improve our business by a minimum of 12% this next year.
Public-private partnerships, that seems to be a key focus coming through for most African countries. Do you think it's going to be net positive for the auto industry on the African continent?
In fact, here in East Africa, again, part of our success last year was a public-private partnership that we entered into with an insurance company, the Co-op Bank, and some other financial institutions here, where we went around the country trying to provide education and training to the PSV operators on the advantages of purchasing a larger vehicle. At the same time, the Kenyan government is working very hard to organize some of the operators into groups or SACCOs, where most of the operators in the past have been individuals. So I think there's two things happening at the same time. We're organizing the operators into larger groups, which banks feel better to finance, and insurance companies feel more secure in insuring their vehicles. So I think we're sort of, in an evolutionary way, we're revolutionizing the PSV industry, and General Motors East Africa, as a supplier to that industry, our business is on the uptick.
Looking at the second-hand market, because that has been one of the big issues coming through for many of the manufacturers in that region, why do you think that they are so dominant? Is it due to lack of financing? Is it due to the costs? What kind of scenario is playing out?
Well, in East Africa, East African markets, particularly in Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania, the affordability issue and the lack of proper mass transit systems fuel the need for individuals to buy personal vehicles. And of course, we have a very soft, porous revenue authorities in each of these three countries, where the ability to undervalue a vehicle when you import it it's very easy to do. And in fact, here in Kenya, we've had quite a bit of a row over the issue of 8-year and over vehicles and the abuse by the Kenyan government on the importation of vehicles over 8 years old was rampant this last year. It seems that we have some of those things under control. Some of the other issues that'll come up during 2011 will be the dynamics around the harmonization of the 8-year rule or the used vehicle regulations in Tanzania, Uganda, and Kenya. But we hope that we'll continue to make progress. We think that the revenue authorities need the money. We think the importers need to become more professional, pay their taxes, pay them on time, pay the right amount, so that we have, as I've said, I think on this program before, a level playing field for those of us who have been longtime investors in Kenya.